cry and scream and beg for your life with every step. I can't get enough of that sad, pathetic face!
Hi, welcome back. My name's Glitch, and today we're going to be talking about Angels of Death, an anime slash manga slash video game that often I feel gets kind of a interesting critique. Reading reviews online, there's a lot of mixed feelings. Even when it was released, a lot of people didn't want to stick with the story. But today I wanted to clear some things up for you and basically educate you on the history of Angels of Death, where it fits into the horror genre, and whether it's actually worth watching. So, Angels of Death, or Angels of Slaughter if you prefer the direct translation, is a psychological horror adventure game developed by Hojoku for Microsoft Windows and Nintendo Switch in 2015 and on Steam in 2016. There have been subsequently 2 manga adaptations that have been produced based on the game, one of which is on the sole story of the game, the other is based on its prequel, Angels of Death Episode.Eddie. The manga was written by Makoto Sanada and the art was done by Sudan Nazuka. And then after the success of the manga and the game, it later got turned into an anime. It's 16 episodes long and was produced in August 2018, written by Yoshinobu Fujioka and made by JC Staff Studio. I will butcher a lot of names in this video, please bear with me. In this video I am going to go over the game, like I will talk about it a bit because I have played it, and I will also talk about the manga adaptations. However, if you want to have a full review of them, I suggest going somewhere else, as I'm primarily going to focus on the anime and how they intertwine and what their relationship with both these genres are. There is also other work to consider. There has been a novel produced, which I have not read, but for the context of this video, to keep it simpler, like I said, I'm going to focus primarily on the anime, but I will talk briefly on the game and the manga. So first, let's focus on the plot. So just as some context, the video game was released in Japanese, Korean, Chinese, and English. And I read online that apparently it was actually really popular in Korea. But I now live in Korea and I have been asking to do some research to try and bond and make a friend. And they look at them like I've just handed them a fish or something. So I'm not too sure how accurate that information was, but you never know. Angels of Death is a one-person 2D horror simulation. The graphics are more old school in style, and I wouldn't say it's particularly hard once you figure out how to navigate the different rooms. Each room's going to take you at least an hour to get through, I'd say, on average gameplay. It takes a while to figure everything out, and then you have to follow a very direct story path. But essentially you play as Ray, or Rachel Gardner, and she is a 13-year-old girl who has been brought to hospital for counselling. Except when we wake up as Ray, we can't remember anything but our name and the reason we came to the hospital. Everything else is gone, and this will affect how we view the game throughout. We hear broadcasts and see messages as well to try and navigate the floor we're on, and this brings us to the setting up of where we are. So participants are given floors of their own in their own styles. Each floor will be a different sort of art, a different sort of location technically. And if someone who enters the floor who isn't the floor master or that participant, that person therefore is like a sacrifice. They can be killed however the floor owner decides. Which leads us into our first run-in, because Ray is unaware of this, as are we. And since we are unaware of this, these details don't make us hesitate, and so we go into an elevator and we move from floor B7 to B6. And as we're on B6, we almost come into contact with the scythe of Zack Foster, and we almost get killed. In order to escape Zack Foster, we end up being caught by Danny Dickens, the floor owner of B5, who is also, coincidentally, the doctor who examined Ray. This is where the game sort of becomes, oh, okay, I kind of understand, we have to defeat every level of the thing. That's not what Angels of Death is. It takes a very interesting twist, because as we are being examined by Danny, who wants to take our eyes, Ray recovers her memories as to why she's come to the hospital, what happened, and we start to piece together some of her backstory. And as we do this, Zack just happens to kill Danny for us. But ironically, he spares Ray because Rei's face and her whole expression is no longer scared. She loses most of her feelings based on the trauma she experienced prior, and therefore Zack sees no reason to kill her because it seems boring to him.
I've been so unbearably lonely! Yeah, it's...
The other thing that we should learn now is that as Zack has killed someone that was not on his floor, being Danny, the broadcaster designates him as a sacrifice along with Rei, where they can freely be killed by any floor master. Meaning the two, now in the same situation, form an alliance where Zack can use her intelligence to escape, and upon doing so, will fulfill Rei's desire to be killed by him. And that's basically the premise of both the anime, manga, and game.
Hey, somebody's ballsy. Don't you see the freaking scythe in my hand?
Kill me, please.
Let's acknowledge the key theme to consider when we review this anime and manga: obsession. Everyone within the story has a vice they cling to, whether it be Rachel's repetitive need for death at Zack's hands, Danny's craving for eyes, or Zack's desire to murder. Obsession becomes this very crucial element throughout the series. We also get religion as another key theme within it. Angels of Death is told through Rachel, who heavily repeats and focuses on the religious aspect. She often is mentioning sins, God, but not adding too much to the story. And I believe this is mostly the justification for her partnering with Zack and why she needs to be killed at Zack's hand, because in religion, suicide is considered a sin. Religious symbolism is also shown throughout the flaws, and even the translations of the Japanese name all feature angels, all three of them, angels of slaughter, angels of death. The confused state of Rei and her values allows this narrative, however. I just don't feel it adds a lot to the plot. It just seems like this repetitive dialogue that we're using, again, just to justify why these two are partnered together.
If you want to die, then you're gonna have to make yourself useful somehow!
You mean if I can help you get out of here, then you guarantee you'll kill me?
Yeah, seeing as how that's exactly what I just friggin' said!
You swore to God that you'd kill me.
Jesus, Ray, you're starting to sound like a broken record.
It's the same repetitiveness that gets a little boring and is one of the main criticisms. The art style of Angels of Death reminds me of Soul Eater a little bit. It has that early 2000 grunge quirkiness with dark undertones. It's just less child-friendly than Soul Eater. It also does a really good job, like the game, in the sense of you always feel the state of an abandoned building and you feel like a trapped rat. We can't really place where we are or why we're here or even where in the world this building would exist. And I think this is very helpful to create an atmosphere of the unknown. Character designs have also been well thought out, although perhaps not so much in terms of backstory. We understand the Floor Masters are twisted desires, but not so much their motivations, and as a result, some consider this very two-dimensional because we are left with a lot of questions. Why is Rei here? Who locked them up? What's the building? You know, how did other people get here? Why are these people selected? It's not really explained for a long time. It does get explained later, but it's not really significant in the beginning. You have to really stick with it, and it can become very frustrating if you don't sink into the plot. The strength of this series does lay in the rapport, though, established between its two leads, Rachel and Zack. The two are an odd couple, to say the least, but they play off each other really well, very comedically, and it was great to see their dynamic evolve over the course of the show.
Guess you'll have to do it while I still have this dull expression.
Damn right I will! And I'll feel like shit once I finish the job, too! Jesus, you sure picked a bad time to start giving a damn.
I thought you were hurt.
I am. My gut's friggin' killing me. What do you think?
As they rise through floors, they go from mutually using each other to actually, I guess, caring about each other's well-being to an extent, and this development is strangely endearing. There is an arc about halfway through the series that I do think should have been scrapped, and we could have got it to a nice, lovely 12-episode anime in which they're both separated, and it feels very empty. You know, that classic thing to make them realise each other's bond, but I just don't find it very useful, especially when I think with Angels of Death you kind of like one or the other, and I'll get into both analysing the characters of Rachel and Zack, but yeah, it's something to note. Despite being a very campy horror comedy, Angels of Death's central relationship is a lot more developed than most anime romances I also found.
You and I have never been anybody's tools.
No, not that. You actually talked me out of believing that load of crap pretty quickly.
I want to save you because you are my god, Zach.
Whoa! What the hell's your problem? That's not something you say to people.
First, I'm going to talk about Rey because she's what we're experiencing the world through. She's very confusing, and our experience of the tower mirrors her own understanding. Details are often lost or unclear in the mysterious and empty building due to Rey's sort of amnesiac state. However, we are also left out key details about Rachel herself. For example, we don't know why she is desperate to end her life so badly. We don't know why her expression completely changes from scared to not fearing death at all. This is incredibly repetitive, including her deeply religious nature, as I mentioned before, hence her reason to be killed by Zach, her god. Rachel states in one of her early episodes that she doesn't want to die by suicide, and after Zach makes a promise to God to kill her, she definitely makes it her goal to have Zach specifically kill her, which gets challenged throughout each floor, obviously, but she is very committed to Zach is the one to kill her. And I think the reason for this, is so devout and specific, is because I guess in her death she wants to feel useful to someone and have a purpose. She holds this promise very dearly, and I think she cares for Zach, so perhaps she wasn't useful before, but now has the chance of changing things. She finds it difficult to express her human emotions and often says what's on her mind. She's very kudere in her archetype. Zach is a crazed serial killer who doesn't care about anything or anyone. He just wants to see his victims have a worthy expression before he slashes them with his scythe. He's a very fun and interesting character, providing the on-the-nose humor, which sometimes overshadows the story. He's very blunt, rude, uses foul language, and actually has a very surprising broad range of vocabulary, considering he can't read or write.
Where are you, little bitch? I bet if you knew this creep was up here, you would have kept your ass downstairs. Got some kind of creepy-ass grave fetish or what? Come on, fight, you little necrophiliac! All right, little Miss Horror Show! You in there somewhere?
I'm trying to have a conversation with
Shut up, coconut head!
You're stupid! That's what makes you so angry!
You're the one who's getting all worked up because you've got such a raging hard-on for dead bodies!
Now you're getting nasty!
That's what your mom said!
Just be quiet!
He's more the muscle, the brawn situation, and it's shown throughout that he just leaves Rey to sort out any smart situations because he just physically couldn't do it. So one thing I wanted to just briefly mention is that Rey and Zach do not have a romantic relationship. This gets put in fan art quite a lot and it makes me very uncomfortable. Rey is a child, Zach is a full-grown adult. The reason they probably get on so well is one, they're going through an extremely traumatic situation that's very hard to handle and they're on each other's side at this point. They need each other to escape. And the other reason I would say is that Rey has had to grow up very quickly, whereas Zach hasn't been allowed to grow up at all. He wasn't given the same time. So his mental age is probably a lot younger. He uses very childish humor, whereas Rey is a lot more cold and calculating. It's very important to establish that they are very separate entities in that sense. They just have a very platonic bond. There's also no doubt, however, we can romanticize Zach and make him seem very more human with his humor and laugh at him, but there's no doubt he is mentally unstable. I would love to have seen more understanding to lend to the characters in both scenarios instead of the chapters where they are without each other. The creators want the audience to basically accept Zach for who he is without really getting us to understand him. But overall, Zach is a cold killer. He's monstrous by all social norms, despite his alliance and faith with Rey. He's the type of guy that does get through killing without it's not this. He's not a changed man. He's still got his own intent and desires. So I just wanted to put my final thoughts in of whether I recommend it and whether I think you should go watch it. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the greatest show of summer 2018. It didn't revolutionize, it's not like Attack on Titan where it's all got hyped up, but I will say there's nothing quite like it. So if you find this mess entertaining, then go watch it. It's very short, it will give you a good laugh. Its main aim is to offer genuine entertainment to its audience. Don't take the horror genre and that classification too seriously. It has murder, there's blood, it's quite dark, but it's got a very good comedic undertone and the whole plot throws itself away to that. You know, watching this, I didn't get scared. Plus, as we go through the whole series, it gets more twisted, it gets more nuanced. You find out little bits and pieces. We finally learn about Rey, which is, you know, why she's there. And I think that is very interesting, but you do have to sink into this story. I know it's not for everyone, and there's still a sad number of people that dropped the show when it first came out because mostly of the horror thing, but I think they wanted to see Rachel be afraid of everything that's happened in the first episode, but when she becomes emotionless, it starts to get a bit boring and the dialogue can seem a bit repetitive. But like I say, take it with a pinch of salt. If you don't take it too seriously and you just enjoy the ride, then I think you'll have a really good time with this. And I think it's a bit underappreciated, all things considered. That's my overall viewing for this video. I hope it was useful. Sorry if it's a bit longer. It was a lot of talking and breaking it down and footage compared to my last video. But yeah, let me know what you think. If there's any anime, manga, or manhwa that you want me to review, let me know. Or if you have any questions, I'll be grateful to answer them. Bye!